friends, Lori Hart here, the Keto Lady, coming to you live with module number 2. We are going to talk about sweeteners tonight. I remember when I first got started following a low-carb ketogenic lifestyle, I realized that it really truly was a lifestyle without sugar. Sugar is literally poison. It's poisoning our bodies. It's poisoning our children. It's poisoning our husbands. It's in all of our food. Everything is laced with sugar because it's a truly addictive substance that actually causes lots of disease, as you know. The word disease is dis-ease. And most of the reason why is because we are now a society that is born to crave sweetness. Now, if you remember back, well, this is years and years and years ago, an apple used to be literally the size of a plum. Now it's the size of your head. Carrots were grown in the ground white. Now they're orange. There was no such thing as cotton candy grapes. Now there is. There was no such thing as like peaches and watermelon. Our watermelons these days are bigger than our trunk of our car. Like we need a U-Haul to get a watermelon home because of everything that they're putting inside of it, right? That's why people will say to you, well, an apple won't make you fat. Well, back in the day, an apple was not the size of your head. It was very small. So you were eating small amounts of sugar, small amounts of carbs, right? So I wanted to talk a little bit about sweeteners and how they can affect the keto lifestyle or low carb lifestyle. Now, the thing that I love the most is that we are improvising with things that are healthier for us. They don't impact our blood glucose, so therefore we can eat them, have them. We can still bake and do all the things that we love to do. We just have to do it a little bit differently. So hopefully that makes sense. Three of the ones that I really want to talk about first are the yellow, the pink, and the blue. Now, the yellow being Splenda. Splenda is a nasty little bugger. It is in lots of our foods. If you remember back when we first started with the fat-free Crystal Light era, do you know how many packages of Crystal Light have been sold because of Splenda? Because it's sugar-free drink mix, right? Well, that little bugger acts in your body as if it is sugar, and not only that, it acts as if it's 600 times sweeter than actual sugar. Okay, so that's just getting you more and more and more addicted to sweetness. So the yellow is now trying really hard to become a brand of not neurotoxin. So the yellow is Splenda, the pink is Sweet and Low, which has got aspartame. You guys know that. It's been known to cause cancer in rats and different things. We've known about aspartame for years. There's also the blue, which I call NutraSweet or Equal, right? That is also a neurotoxin. So neurotoxins affect things like health problems like MS, Parkinson's, those types of things. They're not good for your body. They're not good for your brain. And they also trick your body and taste buds into thinking things are a lot sweeter than they are. So yellow, pink, and blue is out. I get so many people that will come to me and say, but Lori, I'm using this. It's sweetened with Splenda. Is that okay? Can I put Splenda in my coffee? Is that okay? No, you may not. You may not use Splenda. As a matter of fact, there was a time in my life when I was drinking 6 Splendas a day in 3 large iced coffees, thinking that it was okay to have a splash of cream and a couple of Splenda, thinking I'm doing my body good, when in all actuality, I'm killing my body by putting in the Splenda. It's still raising my blood glucose. It's still causing an insulin response, but I'm thinking I'm in the clear because it's a sugar-free drink. Well, it turns out that it was not, and I did this for many, many years till I knew better, okay? So those 3 are off the chain. The other few that I want to talk to you about are a little bit different. They're not sugar, like we have sugar that melts when you bake. It's not going to melt, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about the properties of the brown, the granula, and the powder, and just really the difference in them, okay? So one of the ones that I feel is a really good replacement for coffee, if I was going to drink a cup of coffee and I wanted to replace the sugar for coffee, it would be Truvia. Truvia, okay? Truvia comes out, and a lot of these come in different forms, so I'm going to caution you on reading labels as well, because if you pick up a Splenda bag, which is the brand, the back of it could say Splenda and erythritol. or erythritol with Splenda. It's trying to cut it, and I give it credit for trying to cut half out and half in, but I want you to just be sure you're reading labels, okay? So this is Truvia. This is erythritol and stevia. Stevia is a natural plant extract. It's another really good one. A lot of people don't love stevia on its own, so this here, though, for me, I believe that this is a really good coffee substitute, the Truvia. I don't really taste the stevia. I'm not a stevia person. I do like to use liquid sweeteners in certain cases, and I'll tell you when and how. But if you're looking for something to replace coffee, right? What I like about Truvia, you can always get the little packages. They come in the packs, okay? Or you can buy them like this. Now, again, you need to really be careful because sometimes when you buy stuff like this, there's going to be maltodextrin in it, which is a hidden sweetener. You don't want that in your life. And by the way, if you want my list of hidden sweeteners, just type in the comments, send me your list of hidden sweeteners, and I will definitely get that to you. All right, so these here, really good one, okay? Substitute for coffee, things like that. I don't bake with Truvia, but I use it in a hot drink. Ooh, a hot drink. Okay, next, we're going to talk about what Swerve is, okay? Swerve is a brand name. Swerve is the one that if you're brand new and getting started into this lifestyle, I would suggest getting Swerve, okay? You can get Swerve in the powdered, which they call confectioners. You can get it in the granula, all right? And you can get it in the brown. It's very mapley, it's very smushy, gushy, just like the feeling of brown sugar. However, you've got to remember when you're baking with erythritol, everything's gonna be a little bit harder and it's not gonna spread as nice. That's why sometimes you see some of my recipes will have gelatin. I like to add some gelatin into, say, my chocolate chip cookies. So it's a little bit chewier versus hard, right? The other thing is if you're using something that you need to melt and you want melted, you don't want the granula, you want to use the powdered every single time. If you don't have the confectioners on hand, you can put this right into your NutriBullet and whip it up and it will become more of a powdered sugar, okay? Become more of a powdered sugar. So they taste exactly the same. One is just granula, and the granula is pretty gritty. So if I was making something like Cool Whip whipped cream, I would probably use powdered. If I was baking, again, you're welcome to use powder just because it doesn't melt all the way down. When I'm baking things like peanut butter cookies or whatnot, I always press them down just a little bit because it's not going to spread like sugar. Okay, it doesn't melt that way. So Swerve is only the brand. It's not called Swerve. I'm using erythritol in the brand of Swerve. I like this brand a lot. If you're brand new and you're trying to fill your pantry with keto supplements, like things to have on hand, I would recommend getting the Swerve brand. Next, I want to talk to you about monk fruit. Monk fruit is a sweetener that comes from a plant. Another one, which I really like a lot. This one is a blend, okay? This has a blend. When you see monk fruit sweetener with erythritol, we call this a blend. Now, blends are great. I like blends because blends often help with the cooling effect. So sometimes when you eat straight erythritol, you're going to get a cooling effect at the very end. Now, that's when I like to use a few drops of something a little bit bitter like a stevia. So if I'm baking something, it doesn't bother me, the cooling effect. It bothers people. If it does you, experiment a little bit with the liquid monk fruit, the liquid stevia, or the liquid allulose. You can put a few drops just on the back end and it will kind of take away that coolness. That coolness, okay? So this, again, this is the brown. It's really squishy. It feels like brown sugar. It's wonderful to put on top of pancakes or strudel toppings, things like that. I love it because it's making you actually feel like you're getting it. And my strudel topping is so yummy. My pecan muffins, my apple muffins, I'm going to post those later. They are absolutely delicious, and I always use this. I always use the brown when I'm making candied pecans. Things that you're thinking of that are richer in sweetness, I always go for the brown. Now, you can buy the brown in the Swerve brand, which would be erythritol. You can buy it in the Allulose brand, and you can buy it in monk fruit. So I love, 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 love the browns. Another one. Here we go. This is just another brand. This is 365 brand. Okay, this is again erythritol and monk fruit in the granula. So this is in the granula. It's not in the golden. In the brown sugars, we have the golden, which is a little bit more sandy, and then we have the brown. The brown is more pliable, like a molasses brown sugar without the molasses. The other one, the one that I would like to recommend for baking, I don't have it here on hand, is allulose. Straight up allulose. Allulose seems to just spread a little bit better. It's a little more melty. It's really good for baking. Um, and it comes in a liquid form as well. Now the liquid won't be cup for cup, so if you're using allulose, you can always, again, if it's granular, put it right into your NutriBullet, make it powdered. That would be cup for cup. The liquid is not going to be cup for cup, so always check the measurements, and always really, when you're baking especially, we've always got to read the labels, because lots of times things are not interchangeable, and I just want to make sure that you know that you just, like, especially with flours. Now next week we're going to get into Keto Flours 101. But we'll get a little bit more in depth as the months go on with the baking and the different things. But I just want you to know the ones that we can use, okay? We're going to use erythritol. We're going to use allulose. We're going to use monk fruit. Xylitol is one that is a little bit different. That more is a sweetener. Still doesn't bother or upset the glucose or the insulin, but it can upset your stomach a little bit. It's not something you want to eat in large quantities, okay? Large quantities. And it's more for putting in candies and things like that. So that would be xylitol with an X. Now, again, you can get the liquid form of monk fruit, the liquid form of allulose, right? And the last two that I want to talk about tonight is maple syrup and honey. Now, I had somebody ask me the other day if honey was okay on the keto diet, right? Because honey is natural. Is agave okay on the keto diet? I forgot about agave. Agave is natural. The answer is no. Those are the two highest on the glycemic index, meaning those are going to spike your blood sugar through the absolute roof. And that's not what we want to do, because then all the firefighters are going to come out, the keys, the insulin, they're going to unlock the cells, they're going to push in the sugar, and then they're going to push that out into your bloodstream, and it's going to create more fat. So we want to be sure that we're not overdoing honey or having any at all. We're not doing any agave, zero. And I want you to know you can buy them, especially honey. I found an allulose honey that tastes exactly like the real thing. So if you're missing tea at night, stevia is perfectly fine, Alexis. Yep. I just explained in the liquid form and all that. So stevia is perfectly fine. Honey, again, is coming to you. You can buy it in the liquid allulose form. So if you go onto Amazon, it's called allulose and it's honey. It tastes just like honey, but it's a little bit more liquidy. But if you're missing honey in your tea, this would be perfect. If you're missing honey, maybe on top of a shuffle, or my keto muffins that I posted there. Oh my gosh, the French toast muffins. You could eat them more like a popover, or you could eat them like a true French toast muffin. I love them. They're super simple. So what I would use in place of maple syrup would be either from Chalk Zero or Lancanto. They have really good maple flavored syrups. Try them for yourself, because they're different. One's thick, the other one's not thick, and they have a little bit of a different taste. I will do a taste test here at some point on the maple syrups, so you can see the difference in the thickness and the thinness. But Lancanto and Chalk Zero make really good replacements for maple syrup if you're looking for something like that. But again, the allulose honey is perfect. You can totally substitute the sweetener and maple syrup. I'm sorry, you can totally substitute the maple syrup for the Chalk Zero or the Lancanto, right? No honey, no agave, and no honey, no agave. What was the third one that I said? I can't even think. And I'm supposed to be talking here. No honey, no agave, and no maple syrup. There's the three. I'm like, oh, I'm answering questions. That's my problem. I gotta just face the camera. All right, so sweeteners 101, very basic. Touched on everything. We're not going to have the yellow, pink, or the blue. We're not going to have honey. We're not going to have agave, and we're not going to have maple syrup. We're going to replace those so that we feel like we're having them, okay? We're going to be able to use erythritol, stevia, allulose, monk fruit, xylitol sometimes, We're going to be able to have the allulose honey. We're going to be able to have the maple syrup by Lancanto or Chalk Zero. And as far as agave, I think the allulose liquid would be more similar to any of that. So that's also really good for tea or coffee. And that's all available as well on Amazon. So I hope that was helpful. I will talk to you guys later. Happy Friday night. Happy Friday night. Signing off, Lori Hart here, Module 2, Keto Sweeteners.